Go ahead. So I'm at your disposal for the next, 40 minutes? Yeah.
Okay. Okay, sir. So, can you give a brief introduction of yourself, your personal life, where you are right now, something about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Prashant Joshi, Prashant V. Joshi. I'm here in Austin, Texas. I'm in the US for the past 33 years, so that's a long time. And my wife and two daughters, we all live under the same roof here. Yeah, my wife's name is Manju. Two daughters are Veda and Ila. And yeah, so I'm a full-time dad, husband, and I wear a couple of hats. But the overall theme of life is I love to grow people. It's all about people at the end of the day, right? People matter. So you got to be passionate about people, about the causes, social causes. And then, so I have a mantra called Grow PBT. P for people, B for business, T for technology. And technology in the sense of innovation, right? So we got to be innovative. We don't want to become stale. We got to be, innovative in all aspects of life. So that in a nutshell, I come from Mumbai originally. I did my, double E from Mumbai, and then I did a couple of graduate degrees here in computer science in New York. So my life here has been 10 years in New York, 16 in New Jersey, and for the past 8 years in Austin, Texas. Does that help?
Yes, yes. That's really exciting, actually. Can you share about your career and the journey that you've been through, the roles that you have taken up, and the current designation and the company you work in?
Yeah. So, again, starting with the big picture is I've spent 9 years in academics. That was my initial journey as a student and a full-time, working at the university. Got out there with a Distinguished Service Award from the City University of New York, CUNY. Went into the corporate world. Sun Microsystems was really the pioneer of open source, pioneer of the IT industry. Was really fortunate to join in my initial years as a first corporate career. And enjoyed. So again, coming with a big picture becomes easy to me. And coming from technology background, it's all about facing the people, evangelizing the technology, and then of course winning business. At the end of the day, nothing happens without. So I've been always customer facing. So the functions in customer facing become pre-sales, for example. So pre-sales is a very important function, that you are the conscience of a campaign to win a customer, and then nurture the relationship with a customer so that you continue to have business. And so I've been customer facing, partner facing, and partnership again. So that's what I'm doing as we speak. If I fast forward, so from academic to corporate, from big brands, Sun, IBM, HP, Hitachi, those. And now for the past 5+ years, I've been focused on startups, advising startups, running some teams. So currently I'm with a startup called Ketonic. It's an Australia-based startup. And one of my colleagues is in India, who is my batchmate. So, I learned about this from him, and then joined last year as part of the leadership team. So I run global alliances and partnerships. So we are basically trying to make life easier for, again, what's the cause, right? What's the cause is making life easier for data scientists, making AI as an integral part of business decision making, so that we have predictive outcomes. We are proactive, So we prevent downtime. I mean, if you are a business and if you go down, if you get a preemptive notification, hey, watch out, that's a beautiful thing, right? So that's kind of the thing that we are trying to do, is to be proactive, be predictive in this. So I'm the face of the company in the US. We have a team in India, and the founder is in Australia, and we are an early stage startup. So we have to wear all hats to. So I recently defined a culture for the company, for example, giving my leadership, acumen and so on. But so again, my career has moved from academic to corporate, and from big brands to small brands, and at the same time, I've founded many social causes. We founded a Marathi school in New Jersey, which is still running as we speak. Our own daughters have gone through it, and it's about keeping our culture alive, keeping our languages alive. That's all voluntary effort. I've been coaching on many levels. Myself and my wife, we founded an institution called Gurukul Yoga. We founded that in 2000, so now it's in its 21st year. And it's a woman-owned, so I don't have a real stake in it, but it's a woman-owned institution. And it's creating coaches. So it has graduated about 100 coaches, 100 yoga teachers, yoga as a therapy. So it's really solving problems. Comes back to how do you solve problems, whether at the personal level, professional level, business level. So that has been my journey. And at the same time, I've incorporated all these values and principles in all aspects of leadership. So whether you're in a boardroom setting, you can still use these principles that Gandhi used, for example, in building the nation. You can use those principles in building your company, building your home, running a family. So these are universal principles of leadership that I have kind of applied, and it's been a fun journey. There's ups and downs. It's not all a rosy picture everywhere in life, but again, that's where your foundation matters. So anyway, that's kind of a little bit about my journey, and then the functions I've carried and so on.
That's really great that you opened a Marathi school at your place. I mean, that's amazing. Keeping the culture alive.
I'm married to a Sanskrit Pandita, so she to keep so she goes deep into that, and I personally enjoy the languages also. So it's so we actually started teaching in Hindi first in the Indo-Caribbean community. These are the people from Guyana, Trinidad, the West Indies. So you see people who lost the language but kept the culture. So we taught them what is Hindi from the soup to nuts. And then they were doing pujas and they didn't know what they were reciting. So we told them the meaning of those Sanskrit mantras and Hindi bhajans and whatnot. So everything happens, and we became the catalyst in getting things done. And there's a grand plan which things happen. We happen to be there in serving the community. So it's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
That's really nice. Talking about your company, can you share like how many employees are there in the startup in which you're working right now, and what's the turnover?
Well, so as I said, we are an early stage startup, right? So it's about 20 plus people. There's a very high valuation in what we're doing, so it has a lot of potential. Right now, we are in search of customers, investors. So it's too early to talk about the real numbers, but we're getting good clients are kind of coming into the conversation, and they're liking what we're doing. So it is at early stage, but it has a high potential of whether it becomes an acquisition for some large company, and so it's too early, but it's a 1 year young puppy that we are growing, and we are taking we are making some sacrifices in the process so that there'll be a fruitful return. But yeah, it's about a 20 plus people company, a young team such as yourself who are doing some development, data scientist role, some technical roles, and some marketing roles. So I think your friend, as you know, I mean, the one who referred you to me, Ankita, I kind of recruited her in this in some shape or form. So she has been helping on the marketing side, and yeah, so we are a young team, but with a high potential. So.
So you
I
were
mean,
saying,
again, just to give you an idea also of the space, right? So
Mhm.
the AI space, this AI worldwide market, it's a $14 billion plus market in our little space that we are in. The larger AI market is a $170 billion plus market. So it's a large market that we are trying to differentiate, with what we do. And so that's the initial journey of identifying which marketplace segment you are part of. That's a classic product management thing that you have to do, and then of course business development and partnerships and alliances. So it's exciting. I'm using all my past knowledge of big brands and other functions that I've had, pre-sales, partnerships, and product management. All that I'm bringing to bear in this role.
Okay, so you were saying that you have established some leadership culture over there. So are those some leadership principles that you follow in different steps? Like, what are those?
Yeah, so I mean, as part of my overall work and principles, I'm a published author in a chapter called "Ancient Wisdom for Modern Day Leadership." So I've published and I've presented on that. So I basically use those principles, and I created a kind of 3 C's for Catonic. Catonic starts with a K, but we created an acronym called CASE, KACE, which is Catonic's Awesome Culture of Excellence. So ACE, CASE rather. So in that, and what is it, right? So at the end of the day, culture, they say, eat strategy for lunch, for breakfast, for dinner, for that matter. So the point is, culture matters. You may be the brightest of the person, but you have the wrong attitude. You may not be the fit person in that team. So how do you create a culture? So with 3 C's, and the C's being starts with competency. You have to be competent, of course, and competency comes with knowledge, skills, and attitude. All 3 things become a competency, right? Not just, oh, I know Python, I know management, I know whatever. uh, and the second C is collaboration. You have to collaborate. You're not a lone ranger trying to be a hero. And hero is gender neutral. I'm using the word as male hero or a female hero. And then the third C is compassion. And that's very important, that at the end of the day, we don't want to become ruthless leaders just trying to grow business with high turnover and this and that. And then at the end of the day, we don't care for people. We have to care for people. We have to care for customers, of course, partners, and internal employees who are our customers. So those are the 3 C's that I've kind of created this whole theme of, we want to be about case, and that case starts with 3 C's, is competence, collaboration, and compassion.
That's really nice. So what are the greatest achievements in your life, you think?
I mean, again, the way, the way I look at things is, I have my own line. It says every small deal is a big deal. Okay. If you just focus on big deal, oh, I got a promotion, I got this, I got that, then we lose the small deal, the small things that you success. So that's how I look at life. That's how I look at achievements. What you do. So I went from academic world to corporate world. That transition was a dangerous thing, in the sense that, you have a cushy life in the academic world, relatively speaking, and then you go into this cutthroat, Wall Street and this and that, and people say, oh, do you really want to do it? But then when you have a conviction that, hey, it's all about people at the end of the day. If you know how to deal with people, you can handle them, whether they're in on Wall Street, they're in the boardroom, they're in the classroom, or wherever, right? In slums, or they're in big mansions. So it's all about how do you deal with people, again, coming back with compassion, competency, collaboration. So the achievements are, yeah, joining, coming, that transition, making it success, coming as a grad student with little or no money in the pocket to, making it here, with setting up a family and making the family successful. So those are all kind of journey. It's a journey of life. So there are many accomplishments in the process. Creating this Gurukul Yoga, that's an accomplishment. Again, it's something, my wife, of course, has put a lot of blood and sweat in, but creating 100 coaches. So it's creating a livelihood for a woman. That's a big deal in a way. So because it's empowering people. So that I call it that. And then working for these big brands. So and then making your impact. I was a candidate for a CEO at some large companies. With it didn't actually materialize, but you've been considered for something like that. I think coming, as I said, from humble backgrounds to getting there, and then being used to the society. So founding that Marathi Vidyalaya, that was a big deal, that people are still carrying that thing. So all this comes together. There's a lot of people that help in the process. So again, small deals, big deals, everything, I call it accomplishments. And failures are also, in a way, they teach you lessons, and they become kind of a guidepost for you to check your life there. So hope that helps. Yeah.
Yes, that is really great. So what are the qualities and values you think you've demonstrated in the past that has helped you so far?
Yeah, so it really comes back to, even, I go back to my parents for that matter. My dad was a servant leader. He really served people. He was very highly energetic. He was a pioneer of, in Mumbai, that there's something called as RA Milk Colony, the dairy, started the government of Maharashtra dairy. So I grew up watching him with his leadership skills, with his attitude of helping, serving. And I inculcated some of those values. So I really I'm a big proponent of servant leadership. Leadership is not about being on a pedestal. It's about really fighting for a cause. The outcome comes with the right values. That passion and compassion. So those, for example, matter. You have to care for a cause. You have to evangelize. So evangelizing, energizing people, right? You may run into a brick wall, and how do you convince that brick wall to adhere to the message? So there's a lot of evangelizing that has to happen, but you have to believe in it first. So the values come back to the basics of caring for a cause, caring for people, and then being competent in convincing people. Keep it level-headed. So I have actually created those attributes of leadership: L for level-headed, E for efficient, A for aware, D for daring. You have to be bold. It's not just about being a popular leader. E for exemplary. You have to exemplify. So you have to lead by example. And finally, R for righteousness. So you have to be a righteous leader. I could work for a company that makes cigarettes and make a lot of money, or I could work for a company that solves some social problems versus creating problems. So again, I'm not bashing any particular brand or company, but it comes back to making some choices, right? So that's how I look at things.
So what are your views on leadership and leadership styles of individuals?
Yeah, there is, again, there are consensus builders. There are, very direct, kind of cutthroat type of leaders. So that's where those attributes really come in handy, right? Are you a level-headed leader? Are you a hot-headed leader, right? Impulsive, shooting from the hips, or you take everybody's opinion into account. So you have to be decisive. So comes back to, you have to follow your gut. You can analyze to the nth degree, But if you don't act, right, it comes back to acting. You have to act. So there is an old saying, it says from Mahabharata, actually, it says Raja Kalasya Karanam, means who makes the time? Does a leader make the time, or does the time make the leader? And the conviction is that it's the leader that makes the time. So leader has to have that conviction. The word conviction is an important word here. Not just belief. Oh, I believe in this, I believe in that. No, finally, it's your conviction that makes you take a decision. And then you have to stick with the decision, right or wrong, right? You can be if you keep guessing. So it comes back to the values of these, the attributes that I mentioned. And I don't know, I mean, what else you were asking?
I asked views on leadership and leadership styles of individuals.
Yeah, so, there's no right and wrong here, but it comes back to so the attributes that have published are very holistic. So leadership has to be holistic. It cannot be just, what should I say, very singular. It has to take into account, I mean, different personalities, different cultures. So it has to be that, global. You have to have a global view in leadership. But at the end of the day, you have to act, you have to, and the way I've defined, for example, CEO, I say CEO stands for check ego out, CEO. So yeah, again, if you have that high ego that, hey, I'm this, I'm that, then you don't get it. I mean, you have to really wear the hat that, you have to become a child. If you're dealing with a child, you have to get on the same wavelength. And if you meet a bully, of course, you have to stand up to the bully also. So it's that adaptability is that's where that agility, awareness, all those qualities come in. And as I said, I have this published article and chapter that kind of sums it up. So that, and again, I go back to the ancient wisdom, right? If you look at Rama as a leader, Ram, he was a consensus builder. That's why he was called, people's king. Krishna was he was a little bold, he was direct, he would offend some people, but you have to do that also sometimes to get tackle the bullies. So it's a combination. That's why you have to take that combination, what works for you in the context, but universally at the end of the day, you got to have those level-headed for sustainable, right? But leadership has to be sustainable. It's not just doing one short thing. Oh, I was successful, but now how can you sustain that, right? So consistency is important for a leader. So all those things come together here, and then one learns. I mean, people talk about So anyway, hope that gives you a perspective.
Yes. So there is a phrase that we have heard of, like, leaders are born, not made. What are your views on that?
Yeah, I don't immediately, jump on that bandwagon, so to speak. I mean, especially if you look at the science, you can be born with certain attributes, but you can nurture certain attributes to change, transform yourself. I mean, we talk about self-transformation. We talk about, so the point is, you can be born with some attributes that will take you somewhere in life, but these can be nurtured too. They can be developed, and that's why the way our brain works. It's if you're an angry person, you can go from anger to peace. If you're a depressed person, you can go from depression to happiness. So you're not bound with those qualities for life. Oh, I'm this. If you're a smoker, you can become a non-smoker. I mean, if you're a drunkard, you can leave that. Remember, again, coming back to ancient stories, that Rishi Valmiki was a dacoit, right? He was in jungle. He used to rob people. And then he got enlightened and became a sage. So you have that reversibility. So I actually give an example with simple word that we have forgotten. The word ease. Ease is a word, right? What is the opposite of ease? Dis-ease. So you can go from dis-ease to ease. You have a diabetes, you can take care of the diabetes, and diabetes is a disease, cancer is a disease, and you can go into ease. But at the same time, from ease also you can go into dis-ease. So there's a reversibility, and you have to make choices. You have to work for it. So you can train your brain to go from step one to step two. So that's how I look at it. You cannot simply say, "Oh, I was born a leader," or "Sorry." People can be complacent. "Oh, I'm not cut out for that." No such thing. I mean, certain circumstances will put you in a certain spot that you have to step up, and you have to get the fire out of your belly and act. So that's how I look at it. You cannot say you can be born with a silver spoon in mouth and become a can lose all that, or you can just nurture something and develop your leadership qualities. So, and that's why you have these skills schools like yours, I guess, that you're doing all these training to become a better leader. But yeah, so it's a journey. It's not a that's how I look at it. It's not that binary. Yeah.
Okay. So how would you describe your leadership style?
So I use the combination. That's why I use the word holistic. So my leadership style is holistic. It's and that's where that mantra comes into play. You got to care for people. You got to care for causes. So I care for those. At the same time, you have to act. So so I consider myself a high output guy. So I have high energy with which I act, and yeah, so sometimes that high energy can be misconstrued as overbearing, and that's always a danger when you want to act and bring some agility into things. So my leadership style is but I do look at others' point of view. So compassion is a big part of my leadership style. I care. When I manage a team of about 11 people in one of my tenures, I used to call up people just to say hi, and I said nobody did that before that, because people typically think you're a leader, you lead a team as taskmaster. Circus has a taskmaster, right, with a hunter, and then that's where then people lead with fear, and so, and that's the worst way to act, with fear. So that's why you have to have that friendly, jovial atmosphere. The culture matters, and then at the end of the day, we got to get things done, so that the business grows, and so you have to grow people, you have to grow business, grow innovation, and so out of the box is one way I try to lead. If you just can be a conformant leader all the time, conformity doesn't always give you innovation, right? You have to break some rules, so to speak, to get the status quo out and do some think out of the box. So that's how at least my brain works, and I so far so good.
Yeah, leadership styles have evolved over the past, and it's the current style is really, everyone is trying to be compassionate, and that really makes it easy for us as well. So, like, last but not the least, so do you have any suggestions for the future leaders? Something that they can incorporate to be effective and efficient in their areas?
Yeah, I mean, I think my not because I wrote this, but the universal attributes of leadership. I strongly feel people need to look at them seriously. That sustainable leadership is what you need to look at it, not just some glory for the moment. There's a lot of people who want to be on a pedestal and carry a title, carry certain fame, but it's really hard work. I mean, you have to. There's a phrase that says leaders eat last. So it's really that how that's how I look at it, that you have to give before you get. And these days giving sometimes takes a back seat, and people just want to say, what's in it for me, what's in it for me, so my simple suggestion is follow the basics, what you are told in the house, in a temple or church, the simple values do work. That's why I one of the titles of my talk is from boardroom to classroom to homeroom. So be consistent with your leadership style. Don't just do something to show off someplace and then go back to a different attitude, different way you act at home. So be consistent that way, because you're dealing with people. Everyone, everyone is a customer. That's another thing I would say, that think, if you run a company, it's not about you, it's about the customer. So think from a customer's point of view, not just your point of view. So, but do the basics, have fun. It's about journey, not the destination. So that's kind of my parting thought, that, just enjoy the journey, be honest, be authentic, and the rest falls in place.
Yes, that was really great. Thank you for joining and helping me out and sharing your views. And it was really great to know about your journey and the philosophies and the concepts that you have curated. Thank you so much.